the white supremacist most often does not actually care whether or not scientific data verifies their beliefs. The real question for them, the racist question, the RQ, is knowing that they have biased, intuitive, tribal allegiances informing their decision-making here and not any kind of scientific inquiry. How do you change their minds? How do you prove that they're wrong? Well, of course, I'm a moral anti-realist, so I don't believe you can really prove anything to be wrong. You need axiomatic values to attempt to maximize through descriptive claims, or prescriptive claims, sorry, through normative ethics. And in my case, I'm going to appeal to, an axiom I think most people have, and that is that humans should be happy. They should be well. Humans should experience well-being. Not everyone believes that. I do. If you're looking to maximize that value, then all the arguments that I'm about to make necessarily follow. First of all, a common argument made against racial inclusivity is the argument against multiculturalism. This is an argument that's very easy to demolish if you think about it for any length of time ever. We often act out of sort of myopic historicism when we complain about multiculturalism, which, by the way, multiculturalism is and always has been a dog whistle for multi-ethnic and multiracial societies, which is why YouTube channels so concerned with multiculturalism will post videos of Black Americans in America looting 7-Elevens, despite the fact that those Black Americans have literally, down to their family roots, been here longer than the white cops who will show up and ruin their fun. So, again, multiculturalism, we mean ethnic or at least racial hegemony. That's what they mean. The problem with the belief that multiculturalism is bad is multivariate, but I'm going to simplify it because otherwise I'm going to be rambling for a long time. First of all, America, a multicultural society. Oh my God, that is the gradient tool. America, a multicultural society, is also, pardon me for sounding a little bit chauvinistic here, the most powerful and wealthy nation to have ever existed in the history of humanity by far. We are so far ahead of the rest of the world, and we have successfully dominated it militarily and economically. And despite the fact that the world is currently going to hell in a handbasket, we actually enjoy a relatively significant degree of internal stability. The greatest sources of internal instability in recent history have come from the Donald Trump 2020 election fraud conspiracy theory and the political division that it has produced. Donald Trump, as far as I am aware, is white. His followers are majority white. In this case, the line drawn down the union is a racial line, and it is one white people are, sort of driving into the dirt. In terms of social stability, the idea that the American Republic is growing unstable as a product of black people shooting each other is delusional and simply not the case. A lot of racists want to pretend that a marginal rate of local crime is somehow going to take down a global empire. Oh yeah, dude, Atlanta had 3 murders by black people. That's not Atlanta, it's Maria. The other weekend, the empire's done. Shut the fuck up. You have no idea what you're talking about. Just admit you're scared of black people. The grand threats to civilizations are economic and geopolitical. They are ones of political stability. They are ones of civic society. They are not ones of individual acts of crime. It is simply not the case. That's one. Second of all, you could apply this exact same standard to places all over the world. China, multi-ethnic. Most countries in Western Europe enjoy at least a healthy proportion of ethnic and racial diversity and are also on top of the world, right underneath us. Countries that have incredibly high rates of racial diversity, like, for example, Brazil, despite their many problems, have demonstrated a surprisingly robust degree of social cohesion, which is interesting because by all rights, you would think that countries in Latin America have every political and moral right to descend into a kind of permanent race riot. If you know why these countries are the way they are, if you know why there's a white minority and lots of brown and black people, and the white people tend to have more money, and they tend to live in areas that look suspiciously like they might have used to be plantations, It is very, the fact that this place is not just a permanent racial killing field is an indication that we're capable of getting along. Just want to make that clear. The Romans, the Mongolians, I don't know the exact boundaries of the Mongolian Empire, so I'm just going to get all of it. Okay, thank you. The Persians, the Ottomans, all empires are by necessity multi-ethnic and multiracial. They're empires, of course. How can you be an empire without being multi-ethnic or multiracial? You think there weren't socioeconomic problems in integrating disparate tribes with different cultures, different levels of development, different attitudes towards crime and social engagement? Of course there were. And they did it. And then they went on to maintain the empires. Did the empires fall apart? Yeah, everything does. The problem is, if you're looking to history for examples to back up your point on how multicultural societies do or don't work, you're always going to find something that supports your argument, because people are capable of engaging in incredible degrees of historical revisionism to justify the biases they have now. There have been hundreds of prominent civilizations that have risen and fallen. What caused it? If you want to believe that homosexuals did it, you can find evidence for that if you go to the right websites that don't do any research and are also, controlled by people trying to sell you weight gain shakes or whatever. If you want to believe it's feminism, like the Assyrian Empire was brought down by women or something. If you're Stefan Molyneux, pre-getting nuked off YouTube, you can believe the Russian Empire got brought down for completely separate reasons. The Roman Empire was brought down due to feminism. Fuck, he probably believes the Russian Empire was also brought down due to Bolshevik feminism or something. Whatever. You can always find a justification. The historical arguments do not trend in your favor, and the more educated the historian, the less likely they are to make any argument like that. In fact, historians generally are not likely to make arguments like that. Published historians tend to not engage in wild speculation while they project their current values onto pre-modern societies, in large part because it's a really stupid thing to do. Things didn't work the same back then. Things were different, and there's bits of info we just don't have. And also, from what we do know, it seems like most of the time, the most consistent, causative factor in empires declining could actually be addressed through Marxist materialist analysis. Because you will find a pretty strong recurring pattern of class differences between the aristocracy, the peasantry, and the slaves, causing internal agitation that eventually leads to civil conflict, misallocation of political resources, and eventual collapse. That's a pretty recurring trend, actually. Thank you, Marx. Good idea, Marx. Historical materialism beating out other people's explanations for why empires rise and fall since 18-something, whatever. When did Marx whatever. Fantastic, right. So anyway, another common argument that racists will make about why racism is good and based, actually, has to do with crime. And when they say crime, what they really mean is black people, of course. Illegal immigrants commit disproportionately lower amounts of crime. Obviously, legal immigrants to the U.S. commit way less crime until you reach their children than their grandchildren, at which point they average out towards the mean.